Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my entire makeup palette collection. So quick disclaimer, I've been collecting makeup since I was like 8th or 9th grade. So it's been quite some time now and it's just something I really love to do. I'm super passionate about. It's one of my many interests, but like definitely one of my top interests. And anyone that knows me knows that it's something that I've just really been into for the longest time. So if you guys are interested in seeing all of my makeup palettes, then just keep on watching. Okay, so I figured I'd start this video off with the palette that first got me into palettes or even makeup for the most part. So this is the Urban Decay Original Naked palette, and I've had this since, I want to say 8th grade, maybe 7th grade actually. And this is definitely my oldest palette. It was my first palette. I think this is really like what started eyeshadow palettes. Like when I think back to like those years, like I really think this is one of the first ones that really just like started the trend for eyeshadow palettes. As you can see, mine has gotten a lot of love. I still use this palette quite frequently. I just think that the shades in here are so unique. They're so creamy, buttery, they blend really nicely. The only complaint I have with this palette, and I totally understand like why, is because it was one of the first ones, but there is not enough matte shades in here. Like there is so many shimmers and metallics, and there's only like 2 mattes to really like, you know, soften up a look and use for transition shades and whatnot. So that's the only complaint, but I really do reach for this palette a ton, especially like this lighter half is just like my go-to. I have some looks in here that I just instantly go to because I know they look good with anything I wear. So I don't think I could ever get rid of this palette, and if I were to, I'd have to get a new one just because it really just brings back so many memories back to when I was in middle school and high school. I just absolutely love this palette. Okay, and then I also have the Naked 2 palette, and this one is not one that I reach for too often. I did actually use it for today's eyeshadow look, but it is a really beautiful palette. It's definitely more of like a cool, like mauve-y palette, which is totally up my alley. Like I love purples and just all those types of shades, but it's great because you can still make really smoky looks with it. I love how they have like a matte black and some like deeper like bronzes and stuff like that. It is really pretty. It's just not what I normally reach for the most. And same thing with the Naked 1 palette. I feel like this palette is lacking like matte colors. Like there's only the matte black and this matte mauve and then like a matte cream color, but other than that they're all shimmers or metallics. So I think that's my problem, is like I don't reach for palettes that don't have everything in it because then I have to end up taking other palettes out. So that's my only complaint with like the first 2 Naked palettes. And then I also have this palette from Too Faced. It's their Stardust by Vegas Nay palette. I have no idea if Vegas Nay is still like a super popular thing, or person rather, but she did collab with Too Faced probably like 2 or 3 years ago now and created this really cute Stardust palette. So when you open it up, it just looks like this, really pretty. I actually do use this palette quite often. I tend to go for this palette more when I'm going out at night. You just get really pretty, like intense, metallic, like deep, pretty looks. So again, I really like this palette, especially because the whole top row is all matte. So you do have some great like transition shades and blending colors. But then there's also some really pretty unique shades in here. Like there's a whole row of like really pretty purple colors, and then you have this like really intense gold color at the bottom. You have a matte black. I really like this palette. I'm a big purple person and like browns and neutrals, so this palette is great. Okay, and then I also have 2 of the Anastasia palettes. I love Anastasia shadows. That's how I call it, is Anastasia, Anastasia. I don't know. But I have 2 of her palettes and they just have the best formula from the palettes that I have. So this first palette I have is like my first Anastasia palette. This came out about 3 years ago now. And I feel bad that a lot of people like did not know about this brand at the time, because this palette is like one of my all-time favorite palettes. It is the World Traveler palette. The shades in this palette are just so beautiful and unique. The fact that there's still some like neutral colors over here in the corner, but then it like, you know, you have some more like nighttime like smoky shades in the outer corner over here, and then the inside is just full of some really unique shades. Like for instance, this color right here called Metallic is like a like pukey, yellowy green. Like I can't even describe it. It's just so beautiful. There's also really pretty blue in here and a purple and like a pinky peach color. There's just so many beautiful shades in here. You can create so many different looks. I love this palette so much. And then of course I have the Modern Renaissance palette. This is definitely one of my newer palettes in my collection. I got this for my birthday last year, and I don't reach for it that often, but whenever I use it, I really love the looks that I get, so I should use this more often. Truthfully, I don't really reach for like these pinky warm tone colors that often. I'm more of a cool tone girl, but I do really love this palette and the colors do blend very well. The only thing I will say is that it does get very messy, like the shadows are very soft. So I don't know if you can see like my mirror, but it's so freaking dirty. But if you don't have this one in your collection, it's definitely one to check out. It's great. Okay, and then I also have 3 MAC palettes. Now, if you have been watching my channel for some time now, you know that MAC has my all-time favorite eyeshadows ever. I love how customizable their palettes are. I love the amount of shades that they have, and they just have some really unique colors. So now I have 3 palettes. 2 of them I have created myself. I actually have so many singles that I don't even have room for. I need to get another palette. But then I also have one palette that was like pre-made that I'll show you guys. So this one right here is like my baby. This is like something that I reach for every time I do my makeup, whether I use it for my eyebrows, which I did today. I use one of the shades for my brows. As shadows, as highlights, like these eyeshadows are just amazing. Like I truthfully swear by them. I think they're great. So this palette right here I custom made. You can see I've hit pan on a couple of the shades in this one. It's very neutral with a little bit of purple and like mauve colors in there, but I just like this for me is like my everyday favorite palette ever. It's just the best of the best. If you guys would like for me to do a like MAC eyeshadow collection video, I will kind of like go through each shade and tell you guys what I think are worth buying or checking out and whatnot, because I just have so many that I love so much. Okay, and then this one right here is the pre-made one. I actually got this for Christmas this year, and I love it so much. A couple of the shades in here I actually have in my custom made palette, but there's also some shades in here that I think are like unique to this palette only, which is really cool. So this one is the, let's see, the warm neutral palette. So lots of warm and neutral shades. Got some pinks in there. It's just like a great everyday palette as well. And then I also have this smaller palette right here, and in here I just have a couple of like more unique shades that I don't reach for as often, but I still like love these colors. And then I also just have a MAC bronzer and a MAC cream highlighter in here, which I do sometimes use as a shadow. I haven't used that in a while. I really need to. Okay, moving right along, I also have the BH Cosmetics Carly Bible palette. Now guys, I didn't realize how much I was gonna love this palette when I first got it, but I love this palette. I actually use this a lot in my makeup kit, so when I'm doing other people's makeup, brides, prom, like almost everything, I almost always reach for a shade in here. I love how the 4 highlighters can be used as eyeshadows, but the shades in here are just very like soft, bridally, pinks, mauves. There's also some bronzes. There's just a lot of different looks you can create with this palette. They all blend really nicely, and this palette is like $18, if not less. Okay, the next up I have the Lorac Pro palette. Now this palette is a palette that I always recommend to like beginners, people who are looking just to have like a good, solid, everyday palette, because you can create so many looks with this. So basically the whole top row are mattes and the whole bottom row are shimmers, and I really love that they did that. So you have a matte black, like shimmery golds, pinks, like purple, like a gunmetal blue, browns, just everything you could need. You can even use these shadows for your eyebrows, like just I love this palette so much. I also love how it's super thin and compact. I like the packaging. It doesn't get too dirty. There's a nice size mirror. It's just, it really is like the best. This palette honestly comes with me like anytime I go on vacation, because I love it that much, and it's super compact. Okay, and then you can't be a YouTuber without like at least owning one Morphe palette. So I do have the Morphe 35O, which was like the most hyped about Morphe palette back, what, like a year or 2 ago. So I finally got my hands on this past year, and I do reach for it quite often. It's not something that like it sits out on my vanity and I use every day. I think the reason why is just because of how big it is. If it were smaller, and I could cut out like a lot of these orange colors that I really don't use, I think I'd use it a lot more, but the metallics in here are so pretty, guys. Like, it's not even funny how intense they are. I'm sure you guys have seen swatches. I love how many deep dark browns there are. There's a lot of things to choose from. Overall, it's a great palette. There definitely are like some hit and misses in the palette, though, I'll be honest. Like, there are certain shades that I'm just like, why are you in here? A little bit chalky per se, but other than that, I think it's great. I really like this palette a lot. Okay, and then a newer palette in my collection is this Makeup Forever 9 Artist Shadow Palette, and I really like this, guys. I got this on sale on Sephora, and I've never tried Makeup Forever eyeshadow, so I was like, this is a great opportunity to like try some of them out. So this is the #1 palette. So this, I guess, is like the first one. It's very neutral, mostly like golds and mauves, and there's like a deep dark black. Only complaint I have is that there really aren't any matte shades in here besides the black, so you do have to reach for other shades and other palettes. And next I have this Tarte Aqua Lilies palette. This is one of my all-time favorite palettes ever in my collection. I got this about 4 years ago now. It was one of like the limited edition collections. It's really cool. The packaging is like a mermaid's tail, like with the scales. And then it is a all waterproof palette, which is really cool. And then you open it up and then you get 6 eyeshadows, or excuse me, yeah, 6 eyeshadows, a highlighter, a bronzer, and a blush. So this is a really great palette to like keep with you in the summertime because it's very like summery vibes, if you ask me, like with the coral blush and like the blue, just very summery. But I love this, again, for like keeping in my beach bag, or like if I'm going on a trip in the summertime. It just has everything that I need from it, so it's a really great like travel summer palette. And then I also have this Too Faced Cat Eyes palette. I really never reach for this. It's one of like the metal box container things from Too Faced. It's pretty small, which I like that. But the shades in here I really just don't reach for, and I don't feel like they give like the biggest punch of color on the eyes. Okay, and then I'm pretty sure these are the only 2 like drugstore eyeshadow palettes I have to share. So the first one I have is the original Wet n Wild Comfort Zone palette. I know that they recently reformulated these and I have not been able to get my hands on them yet, but I do want to. I love this palette. I think that this is just such a fun, great palette that they did. The shadows are super pigmented. I actually depotted like the blue brown like shadow one because I love this one for nights out, but even the other ones have great formulations and they're just really great, so I do hold on to this one. I don't use it all the time because again they don't really have matte shades in here, but I love like the formula on these shadows. And then I also have a NYX 5-color shadow palette. I got this back when I went to IMAX. Oh my goodness, this had to have been like 5-6 years ago now. It's crazy. And one of them did shatter, so I have to be very careful showing you this, but it is like a really pretty like blue palette. I don't play with blue a lot, to be honest, so I don't reach for this very often, but the shadows in here are really great quality. Yeah, I do think it's important to like have different like colors in your collection, and I really don't have a lot of blue, so I do hold on to that. And I do have 2 Dior holiday palettes. I'm not gonna like spend a lot of time talking about these because this one I've had forever. This was actually my mom's, but I'm obsessed with it. It is so beautiful. The 2 lip glosses in here are disgusting. I'm really sorry you have to look at that, but the 4 eyeshadows in here are so pretty. I've hit pan on 2 of them. One of them is like almost completely gone, but this palette is just such a great like everyday shimmery like golden natural look. I love this so much. Okay, and then the second one is definitely newer. It's probably like 2 years old. It's really pretty. It's like a heavy like metal, and then it's magnetic. You open it up, and then there's 3 eyeshadows, a gel liner, and then a lip gloss in this little thing. I don't really use the lip gloss or the gel liner, but again, the shadows are just amazing. Okay guys, and then the rest of the palettes I have to share are mostly like blush, highlighter, stuff like that. So I'm gonna run through them really quickly because I know this video is getting kind of long. This first one I have is from Sephora. This was from their holiday collection, not this past year, the year before. It's called the Blushing For You palette, and then you open it up and you get 3 blushes, but they each have 2 different sides. So one side's matte, one side has like a little bit of shimmer. It's great because it's like having 6 different blushes and you can really like mix them all around, or you can kind of do whatever. I really love this. I actually reached for this quite a ton. I think it's a great palette and it was super affordable. I also have the Anastasia Glow Kit in That Glow. I love this palette so much, guys. The only shade I don't use in here is the like brown, like the golden bronze one, but all the other ones I love so much. Like, this palette is amazing. Her highlighters are just the best. I also have this Tarte holiday palette. It's one of their blush palettes. I think this was from like 3 years ago. And you get 5 of their blushes. Their blushes are so great. They last forever. I don't reach for this a ton, but I really need to because I really do love her blushes. Like, they're just super pigmented, but they last. They're just great. So I definitely recommend Tarte Amazonian Clay blushes. And then I also have this little trio of the Manizer Sisters from The Balm. So I honestly got this just so I could have Merely Luminizer, which is like the really popular highlight. But then it also comes with like the bronzer and the blush. I don't reach for these 2 ever, but I do love the highlight in here. It was totally worth it just for that. Okay, and then I do have a BH Cosmetics Nude Blush 10 Color Blush Palette. This is like my all-time favorite blush palette, guys. If you are looking to invest in blushes and you don't want to spend a lot, definitely check this out. I love this so much. I use a lot of these shades on a daily basis. I'm actually wearing one of them right now. I just think that they blend nicely, they last, there's a good selection of shades. for every day, and it's super affordable. I mean, I think I got this for around like $7 or $8 on the website. I honestly really want to try more BH Cosmetics stuff because this is one of the only things I have from them besides the Carly Bible palette. I really need to just order some more stuff because it's amazing. Okay, and then this is from TJ Maxx. It's from the brand Beauty Concepts. I actually tried it out today and I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet. I used one of the contour shades and then one of the highlight shades. I do really like the highlighter that I use. I think it's really pretty, but the contour shade was like difficult to blend out. So it looks like this. So the top is like contour and the bottom is highlighters. I definitely have to play around with this a little bit more, but I wanted to try some things out from TJ Maxx, like some of the brands there, because like I see it all the time and I was curious. So I'm gonna use this more and I'll let you guys know how I feel about it. So that completes my palette collection, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Be sure to let me know down below what your favorite palette is in your collection and what you think I need to add to mine. And I will see you guys in my next video.